Guys, welcome to the show, and look at this stunning church here in the old city part of Philadelphia. Today I'm going to be discussing my top 5 winter and spring, and actually fall as well, casual jackets. I've already done a top 10 jackets and how to match it with your watches, but today I'm concentrating on the more casual jackets, as you can see by this very military-esque. Well, actually this was issued to the SAS. We'll discuss that in just a moment. Also, I'm going to be discussing, this is my wristwatch check, the Tudor Submariner, why everyone should own a dive watch, why has it left such an indelible impression, and why, if I had to pick, God forbid, you know, fingers crossed, touch wood, if I had to pick one watch, it would be a dive watch. Why is that? So, yeah, so let's get into the video. Okay, so this is the first jacket from Belstaff. It's a very light, kind of like a windbreaker, but in a military style with double pockets here, and then unfortunately no pockets towards the waist, which is a bit of a shame, and no pockets on the inside. I do stress it's a very light jacket, but the advantage is you can crumple it up. It's got this polyester material. You can crumple it up, stuff it in a bag. You see the Belstaff logo. Historic luxury British brand there. I was partly inspired by a leather version Jack Bauer wears in the very last season, incidentally when he was in London. My favourite feature has to be this pop-up collar that actually stays there if it's a bit breezy and you want to protect your neck. I just love big collars, not for everybody. Or you can just fold it down. You have there a matte black zipper there, so it's very kind of low-key. I absolutely adore this. It is quite expensive, 200 bucks for, you know, basically a polyester windbreaker, but the quality is there. As for the color, it's the darkest blue you've ever seen. It's verging on gray as well, which I really like. Sorry, I got a little bit of dirt there. But yeah, and I have found it to be quite water resistant as well when I've been caught out in the rain. 2 adjustable buttons on the cuff there, which I find very handy, especially if you're reviewing watches. I've actually folded this back so I can just, you know, easily have access to my watch. So yeah, it's it's a good jacket to have if you are watch obsessed. So recently I acquired this amazing book on the history of the Marine Nationale, elite combat French divers. And it's just chock-a-block. Oh, there's an Amiga, but most of it, as you would imagine, is just Tudors like mine. Oh, and here's a little section on the NDC straps, and they actually do mention NDC is the real deal. Of course, there are other companies that make Chinese-made replicas, but NDC is the only one from the authentic material and the authentic design. But anyway, that's going off on a tangent. You'll see, for example, here we have the Hoya 1000, also featured in James Bond. Quartz this time with the luminous dial. This highlights the point, and then you have G-Shock, highlights the point how different brands have interpreted the dive watch with their own technology, their own designs. It just shows you the versatility and the variety of styles there are out there. This is, oh, there was a Doxer there, you see. Completely different from a Tudor. That's another thing I really love about the dive watch is There's, you know, flamboyant designs, there's luxury divers, there's digital divers, there's all kinds of styles. There's always going to be something out there for you. And this also demonstrates just how integral they were to militaries across the world. So this is perhaps the pinnacle of my jacket collection. If you remember in the last video, I had a cheapo Harrington jacket, but it's a timeless jacket and I think deserves a little bit more money to be spent on because it's never going to go out of fashion. If you look at Steve McQueen, going back, you know, half a century, even longer, the Harrington has always been fashionable. It's just one of those classic go-to men's jackets. So this is the Ventile version. Ventile was actually developed on request by Winston Churchill. It's a very breathable, waterproof, military material, but actually translates for the civilian, you know, into this fantastic, very durable, high quality. This is in midnight navy, amazing hardware. Look at that kind of copper zips there. The interior is extremely luxurious. I have a close affinity to Private White, obviously because I come from a military family, but Private White VC, Victoria Cross, the story of Private White being awarded a Victoria Cross. One of my ancestors, Captain Garth Neville Warford, also got awarded posthumously a Victoria Cross in World War I. Handmade in England, I mean, it's the ultimate in luxury. I just adore this. And of course, buttons for the pockets inside, double buttons on the cuff. Look at the lining there, it's just absolutely the kipper's knickers, unquestionably. 2 buttons on the top there for the collar and little corduroy section. I'm not sure if you can even see that, but it is in fact actually corduroy, so it's very soft on your neck. Now it does come in a variety of colors. It's about 560 bucks, but it's one of those pieces that's gonna last you a lifetime. I could certainly see myself handing it down to the next generation. That's how beautifully made it is. It's tastefully done, it's classic. A little adjustment there as well if you want it tightened up on the waist there. So I'll just tighten it up. There you see it's a little bit more form-fitted now. Look at that. Yeah, so absolutely chuffed with this. Wait for it, here it comes, here it comes. Oh, I love this scene. It beautifully illustrates just how versatile a dive watch can be. Here we have Bond using it for sabotage as a tool, as a commando. And then in a moment he's going to change into his disguise into a tux, which I know is a faux pas, but it illustrates just how versatile a dive watch can be. And at the end of the day, Bond breaks all the rules. Rolex these days have actually embraced this versatility and often put their ambassadors in tuxedos as well. So why not? Why not? Oh, hold on. Here's the close-up. Here's the close-up. Oh, just look at that. You know, why not? Also, what this scene kind of captures is the romance of the age, the sense of adventure, the fact you're depending on this watch as a tool. Your life depends on it, not just in a diving capacity, but actually in a mission. So let's wait for the explosion. Oh, just as he's lighting a cigarette, so slick, so slick. Don't we all want to be like James Bond? I love it, absolutely love it. Okay, so this is the Solden jacket from Spectre. Well, actually, it's a replica, and it was given to me by my good friend David Zaritsky at the Bond Experience. So this is made by a company called Royale, very appropriately named, and it's inspired by the Tom Ford jacket that Daniel Craig wore in Spectre, in the Austria scenes when he's, you know, up there in the snow in the mountains and stuff. It's a very close kind of interpretation of that jacket. I mean, the colors, it's a dark blue nylon ribbed section here, and then we have wool charcoal here, and it's extremely warm. For something so light, it's very form-fitted. Now, this is slightly larger than perhaps I'd prefer. It even has the heavy-duty silver zips. In fact, actually, I'll leave a link to the video review that David did. I I think back in 2016 is far better than me at explaining these kind of things. But the devil really is in the detail. There's even leather piping, just like the one in the movies. So undoubtedly more affordable than the Tom Ford, but you get a very similar look and feel. And I also love the high neck. So obviously if you're a turtleneck fan like me, it's just wonderful. And as you can see on the back, it's the wool is continued. So very kind of modern. I really like it. I wouldn't have bought it had I didn't know about it, but it's about 229 bucks, I think. And again, I'll leave a link down below. Oh, and before I go, thank you so much again, David. Loving this. So this is pretty typical for me. I tend to use the bezel, dive time bezel, to time when I'm cooking pasta, sometimes even pizzas. And you'll see if you follow me on Instagram, I've used it to time my cardio. I've actually worn my Tudor jogging as well. The wonderful thing about the dive time bezel, I mean, especially with this particular version, I love the bidirectionality of this version, but it's just a great everyday tool. And unlike a chronograph, a lot more dependable because you've still got the easy legibility of an uncluttered dial and the reliability of a bezel. You know, a chronograph is certainly a lot more susceptible to going wrong. You know, it's a very complex movement, unless you go quartz, of course. But yeah, and then there's quartz chronograph divers. So this is a serious bit of kit. You would have seen me wearing it on the intro. This is the B315 jacket from Arctis. Now, Arctis have supplied the SAS, police forces all over the United Kingdom, various departments of the Ministry of Defence. You feel it. This has 12 pockets. You actually get the most heavy-duty zips. You got little attachments, obviously for military badges. You get a fold-away hood, which actually doubles as a very thick, wind-resistant. I love it when it protects the neck, you know, like this. The outer shell is ripstop, so very, very tough. Then we have Velcro for the adjustable cuffs. On the inside, it does come with this, a fleece lining, which you can attach for extra warmth. I can't even film with this on because it was so warm. It's completely 100% water resistant. It's very, very warm indeed. And it's just amazingly made in the UK. Yeah, you have multiple layers. I love the hidden pockets. You got so many pockets. And you see, you put it's designed obviously for your ammunition, but actually it doubles very nicely. If you're like me, you have to put a microphone or cables or batteries if you're doing photography. Now it does come in a variety of colors. I went for the olive green, not my typical choice. I would have gone black, but then you would have noticed pretty much all of my jackets are black. Let's just undo the hood while we're at it. So, boom. And in the hood, you have a little bit of kind of this wire thing that you can form. I mean, it doesn't get much better than this. These are actually not that expensive. They're about 200 bucks. I'll leave links and everything, but it's like equipment, you know, it's not there as a fashion accessory, although I think it looks really cool. All kinds of toggles for adjustments, zips everywhere, you know. It doesn't get more serious than this.
Dive watches have come a very long way since the early days of pocket watches being kept inside the first divers' helmets in the 1800s. Their evolution from that to the never-ending plethora we have today on our wrist is a fascinating story of man's battle to conquer the deep. It's amazing to see how far we've come in the 20th century since the very first Omega Marine watch in 1932. That is widely considered the first diver's watch. Definitely a subject I will be returning to in the future. One could say that the culmination of this evolution was the international certification known as ISO 6425. Dive watches remain the only genre of watch to actually have a set standard they must meet in order to be considered a legitimate dive watch. In 1996, the International Organization for Standardization, or ISO, headquartered in Geneva, introduced these standards and features for dive watches to be regulated by. This was the ISO 6425, the Divers Watches International Standard. This finally definitively set these features, and they include highly detailed requirements for water resistance. The watch must be 25% more water resistant than claimed on the dial. Things like legibility underwater and also in darkness, resistance to shocks, magnetism, specific temperature variation, certain chemicals even. One crucial requirement was the ability to measure elapsed time, and the strap or bracelet must be solidly attached and able to take a specific load, and so on and so forth. But of course, I am greatly simplifying it for the sake of time, but this standard set in 1996 is still in effect today. The ISO 6425 has undoubtedly helped contribute to the dive watch being the most popular style of watch by ensuring its functionality and dependability the world over. So much so, many contemporary sports watches also owe their design to dive watches, even if these days the vast majority of divers now use electronic wrist-worn dive computers. Diving watches and depth gauges are, however, still commonly used by divers as backup instruments for overcoming dive computer malfunctions. What is worthy to note here is how different brands approach these standards and the eclectic variations of ISO certified divers there are. From gold luxury options to bronze or plastic cases, being powered by solar, automatic, quartz and so on. Stylistically, as long as they meet the ISO requirements, the look and aesthetic variation can be dramatically different. These days, with the increased proficiency in manufacturing and the availability of technology that can be added to a watch, a modern G-Shock Frogman can offer a whole wide range of cutting-edge complications. While most modern traditional dive watches are so robust and accurate, what was originally intended for deep water saturation divers in the middle of the last century can be had on your wrist from any decent watch store today.
Okay, my next jacket is a very light sports jacket from Hugo Boss there. Now, I tend to wear tracksuits when I'm at home lounging about because I like being soft and comfortable, but I have worn this when taking flights as well because it's so soft. It's 100% cotton. Hugo Boss needs no introduction, but it's a nice alternative to, you know, your Adidas or Nike. It's a little bit more higher quality. It's certainly much more refined. It's very light and incredibly soft. I like the little grey accents. Sometimes, you know, I'll match it. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I'm matching it with grey Air Maxes. But what is great about this is you can layer it. I don't typically wear it with a turtleneck underneath. I'll have a black t-shirt usually. Put on a heavier coat over if you're really cold, and it's just very luxurious feeling. I've worn this often out and about, just, you know, doing shopping on a Sunday afternoon, being very casual with Nike sweatpants, and it's quite luxurious feeling, I must admit, and I loved it so much I even got the grey version. So this is exactly the same, just the colours inverted. You can pick these up. I believe they're about 50 bucks on eBay. You might find them on Amazon as well. They have elasticated cuffs and here as well. So really nice thick zipper there. Very high quality. So beautifully made. Like I say, a nice alternative, 2 front pockets. But if you don't want to look like a member of Run DMC with the Adidas stripes, this is a nice alternative. And you know, with black and grey, it's compatible with everything. So there you go. probably the closest I will ever come to diving again, especially with my lung condition. It does sadden me slightly that I'll never get to go diving with a watch again. You know, the environment it was initially designed for, obviously. But for most of us, that is a reality. We don't really go diving all that often. And that highlights the point. The robustness that is inherent in a dive watch, you know, translates wonderfully to mundane tasks like this. I certainly wouldn't wear a dress watch doing the washing up, not even my Navi timer, you know. So the fact that you can put it on, not have to worry about it, get on with your day, it's just, I love that. I love that, you know. Okay, last but by no means least, we have a classic black leather racing jacket or motorcycle jacket. Zipped pockets, got the extra details on the side. I tend to gravitate towards the more expensive leather jackets merely because the quality of the leather and the construction is going to be superior. Typically I will actually go in person to a specialist selling leather jackets. It's something you want to have fitted because obviously the nature of the leather. I was inspired by the last Mission Impossible. Tom Cruise wore a suede jacket very similar to the one from my previous video, but when he's on the motorbike he has this dapper motorcycle jacket, and I was just like, yeah, I've got to have it. It's one of those jackets that makes you look and feel a little bit younger. Obviously the downside is you don't want to get caught out in the rain with this. One internal pocket, but really I got it for the way it fits. I love these extra padded section intended for motorcyclists, obviously for added protection. Very warm, very wind resistant. I think the rule of thumb with leather jackets is to go more expensive, because these things do last for donkeys, I mean donkey's years. The only bad thing is I prefer to have ones with cuffed. If you've seen my bomber jacket, leather jacket from the UK, I actually had that made in Barcelona, but it had the elasticated cuffs. It's much better if you're a watch guy, because then you can just fold it back. This has the zips and buttons, which I'm a little bit nervous when, you know, putting my watch near the zip here. I would have preferred no zips, but you know, again, sometimes you have to sacrifice something to get the great fit and the style that you like. Again, if you're having one made, these are little details that you can specify. Doesn't have the protection like the Arctics, you know, which is lower. So this is, I would say, for like fall, early winter, and definitely for spring, absolutely perfect. But of course you can go for any color. You can even have the Akira red one. So you join me in these quaint little back streets here in Philadelphia. Very much reminds me of London. I've said that several videos before, but anyway. Yeah, let me know what you think. Any jackets you recommend, and also why you love dive watches so much. I'd love to hear in the comments below. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Please don't forget to like this video if you enjoyed it, found it useful, and I will catch you in sunny Philadelphia in the next one. Okay, ciao.
Now before I go guys, I just want to quickly tell you about this extremely cool app that Watchbox have launched. This is my own personal go-to app for everything watch related. Using the app, you can keep track of the real-time value of your watch collection. You can store watches in your digital watch box and even try on watches using an augmented reality. So don't miss out, and please go to the App Store and download it today. You can access all of my latest videos right there in the app itself. And if you haven't already, please follow me on the official Urban Gentry Instagram and of course the Facebook UGWC. But most importantly of all, keep it positive, onwards and upwards.